Today we'll be highlighting the must-have skills for each Vault Hunter in Borderlands 3. These are the best skills that are chosen more often than not that you want to look out for when making your build. I'll be letting you know what they do, how much points you should have in them, and which class mods they feature on, and let's crack into it. We'll start with Zane and his Hitman tree, where you'll find the ever-present Violent Speed and Violent Momentum. These two in tandem serve to bolster each other, and serve as a foundation for pretty much all of Zane's builds. Violent Speed can stack twice and grants Zane increased movement speed for each stack, and they decay after 8 seconds. On the other hand, Violent Momentum increases Zane's gun damage the faster you're moving. Violent Speed is a kill skill, and although Violent Momentum isn't, it will benefit from kill skill increases like Death Follows Close, increasing the percentage of gun damage you get. Zane can deal some pretty crazy damage with these, and that damage can be easily achieved by equipping a toboggan or a snowdrift artifact to maximize the damage boost from Violent Momentum. If you're planning on dealing gun damage, it's always worth picking these up, as they provide a massive damage ceiling. Both skills also drop on the anti-freeze, with Violent Momentum being the better role of the two. Salvation is another skill that's often picked up. Having 1 point in it will tick the survivability box, and because of mayhem scaling you only ever need 1. Seeing red used to be the Hitman tree's capstone, but now it sits in the middle. Regardless, it is still a great skill. It increases the effect of all your kill skill bonuses, and Zane has plenty of those. Although its key effect is in coupling with Zane's cannon to activate all of your kill skills simply by shooting a blast of it. Of course, activating other action skills works too, but the cannon easily maintains them. If you want action skill uptime, then you'll want Good Misfortune, and that's incredibly important if you're relying on the Sentinel Cryo Anointment. 1 point is generally enough to keep those action skills up, simply by firing your cannon with Seeing Red, or shooting things with the Seeing Dead class mod equipped. Death Follows Close is the blue tree capstone, and if you make it this far in the tree, you should pick it up. It increases your kill skill bonuses by 25%, and also adds 7 seconds to their duration. You won't find the duration increase to be a game changer, but the kill skill bonus is more than welcome. Now to the double agent tree, and we open with Duct Tape mod. This is a must-have skill for eraser builds, and should always be picked up if you're going deep in orange. The key part of the skill is in its ability to provide Zane with immunity from his splash damage. Without that, Zane couldn't do things like this. It simply wouldn't be possible, and all you need is 1 solitary point. If you're building for the clone, then you'll want to grab Boom Enhance. It provides a multitude of bonuses to your clone whenever you summon it, and those bonuses cost grenades. You'll want at least 3 to get the maximum bonuses you can get, and even though you can't see how much grenades you have when you've got double action skills going, Pocket Full of Grenades can have you breathing easier by providing a grenade regeneration kill skill. Of course, if you're going for the clone, then you need Double Barrel to provide it with a copy of your gun. This is where the clone gets so good. It's the orange tree capstone, and you simply must have it. You'll also want to make use of the swapping mechanic to provide a gun damage boost to both you and your clone whenever you do so. On to the professional tree, and you all know what we're here for. That is, of course, Eraser, the most busted skill in the game. Essentially, it causes a new projectile to spawn whenever you or your clone land a critical. That new projectile gets the base damage of the projectile it was spawned through, with all bonuses reapplied, which includes splash damage bonuses, gun damage, elemental damage, crit damage, you name it. The new projectile cannot physically impact the original target, but it can deal splash damage to it. And when you add the Hustler class mod to allow that splash damage to spawn projectiles of their own, things get absolutely out of hand real fast. You'll also want to look at picking up Our Man Flynn, which provides 25% bonus damage to your guns as long as you are aiming. Now that may sound like gun damage, but in fact it's not. It's its own type of damage, which makes it incredibly strong. Say if Zane has a 1000% gun damage boost in total, then our man Flint would apply 250% on top of that. And that is why this skill deserves its capstone spot. While aiming, it also guarantees the application of status effects on critical hits, which is another great effect to have. Honorable mention skills for Zane include Cold Bore for a massive increase in cryo damage for the first shot after you swap weapons, and it also increases your swap speed. Playing Dirty is also good when using single projectile weapons, where your next 5 shots will each contain an extra projectile. And with the right amount of points in it, and with enough kill skill bonuses, you can guarantee or get very close to guaranteeing that it will proc alongside your other kill skills. Fugitive is often worth the 1 point to allow you to sprint and shoot at the same time, allowing you to more easily achieve the bonuses of Violent Speed and Violent Momentum. Art of War grants an increased stacking gun damage bonus the more you activate your action skill, and this is perfect for increasing your one-shot potential. If you're going for a cryo-focused Zane build, then you can't forget about Brain Freeze. It provides a freezing mechanic separate of the cryo element, allowing you to freeze enemies through critical hits without the reliance on cryo weapons. Amara has a lot of useful skills. In her green tree, if you're going for a melee build, Find Your Center can be worth picking up to increase your melee damage by 100%. It also increases your melee range for a long time, and that is essential for true melee builds. Mindfulness is one you'll definitely want if you're going for a spiritual driver build. Taking damage grants a stacking movement speed increase, along with shield recharge delay. To maximize your movement speed and therefore your damage with a spiritual driver equipped, you want the maximum points in this one. Onto her blue tree, and Transcend is great for a critical damage boost. Stacks decay after 12 seconds, but you can apply it multiple times thanks to the blue tree capstone. In the middle of the tree, Ascendant is often worth the 1 point to boost many of Amara's augments. You'll find the 15% extra cooldown rate for Expedite particularly useful. Laid Bare is another wonderful skill which, if you get to it, you should spec into. It's great because it essentially acts as a debuff, where any enemies damaged by your action skill take increased damage from all sources. And yes, that includes any enemy linked through ties that bind. Remnant is an absolute monster when it comes to dealing damage. This is one of Amara's skills that has mayhem scaling applied to it, causing the orb to often obliterate whatever it touches. Because of that absurd amount of mayhem scaling, you only ever need 1 point in it. Avatar the Blue Tree Capstone is Amara's best capstone, allowing you to activate your action skill twice per cooldown. That in itself is huge, but through that you're able to stack Duham and Violent Tapestry another time, while also refunding half of your consumed rush stacks. This is the skill that helps Amara do what she was designed to do the best. Onto the orange tree, and you pretty much always will pick up Infusion. You have 2 options when it comes to the skill: spec into it once to provide double the procs when using the face puncher with body and mind, and grant yourself an extra self-harming element when using an elemental projector. Or you can put more points in it to gain more control over the element you're dealing damage in. That is particularly useful if your gun is locked to a single element or none at all, allowing you to proc sustainment. However you utilize it, the skill is incredibly useful. Tempest is another great skill that you'll always want to pick up. It increases Amara's elemental damage, with shock receiving the biggest boost, and elemental damage is better than regular damage, so this is a great skill. Illuminated Fist is the best melee increasing skill if you're going for a melee build. That's because not only does it increase your melee damage by 75%, but it makes it elemental. That allows your punch attacks to scale of elemental damage boosts like that from Tempest. Therefore, if you're going that way, it's always worth the 1 point. Indiscriminate is one of Amara's most powerful skills. It turns 99% of weapons into mobbing machines, where your projectiles will ricochet towards enemies, tearing through them all. It's perfect combined with Phase Grasp, particularly ties that bind, where the ricochet damage and chance is increased. The ricocheting projectiles are also more powerful than the original shot, dealing about 5.5 times more damage. If you're going deep into the orange tree, then you'll want to pick up sustainment, and even if you're not, you might want to think again. The reason for that is this skill provides Amara with lifesteal, as long as you're dealing direct elemental damage. By that I mean on projectile impact, dots don't count. With the point in infusion, you'll always deal elemental damage and therefore always have lifesteal. It is a great skill that provides Amara with that survivability, much like Zane's salvation skill. Onto the purple tree, and there's a couple in here that do a lot of work. One of those is Burn Both Ends, which is an elemental damage increase that applies to both elemental and non-elemental attacks. It sits inside the elemental section of Amara's damage formula and applies to everything, which makes it incredibly strong. To achieve its 75% increased elemental damage though, you need to be taking damage from enemies. You can achieve that easily using the Spiritual Driver class mod, the Infernal Wishes self-harm effect, or through a bonus element where you've applied a dot to yourself. If that sounds like your build, then you definitely need to pick this up. Body and Mind is another incredibly strong skill, but this one you want to be dealing melee damage. It causes its own special type of Nova whenever you deal melee damage, and that Nova will be of your attuned element. Those Novas will also scale off splash damage, and is best when using a face puncher where each pellet will trigger it. To add to that, having 1 point in infusion will proc it twice, granting you double the amount of Novas and double the damage. Honourable mentions for Amara include Personal Space, which adds a nice amount of V2 gun damage the closer you are to your enemies. Jab Cross is also great for a boost in skill damage if you're focusing on action skills. Do Harm and Violent Tapestry serve in the same vein as Zane's Violent Speed and Violent Momentum. They provide Amara with a great foundation, with Do Harm in particular helping to increase her action skill damage. In the orange tree, Dread is often worth the 1 point, not just because of the gun damage boost, but the ammo refund effect helps her use weapons that she otherwise wouldn't be able to. Onto Flak, and there's not many game changing or build defining skills here. They mainly come through the action skills, class mods, and augments. However, starting with the green tree, if you're building around the War Loader bot, then you'll want to pick up Eager to Impress. You'll only ever need 1 point in it, allowing you to chain attack commands over and over again as long as your pet kills someone. The War Loader bot is incredibly powerful, so that is made easy, and in general it is great for getting your action skill back quicker. Lick the Wounds is another great one, allowing your pet to revive you, and that goes a long way to solving Flak's survivability problems. Your pet will also grow stronger after doing so, another good bonus. The Power Inside is a worthwhile capstone in this tree, increasing your and your pet's damage by 25% after you activate an action skill, and if you're at full health, that effect is doubled. Rack Attack players are able to proc this all the time, and it provides a great boost whenever you activate your action skill. In the blue tree, Persistence Hunter is particularly good at increasing the duration of a Gorilla's in the Mist fadeaway, or Gamma Burst. You also get a little bit of bonus gun damage too. Further down the tree, Barbaric Yorp is a great skill for increasing the bonuses your pet provides. It's particularly useful at increasing the elemental damage bonus you get from the Spider and Scorcher. Onto the orange tree, and Head Count is a skill that you simply must have. It is essential for resetting your action skill as fast as possible. You'll often see it used to great effect in fadeaway flak builds, where the increased critical hit chance serves to proc it incredibly often, granting you greater fadeaway uptime. Galactic Shadow is a no-brainer if you're this far down the tree. 1 point in this provides 15% extra critical hit damage, which is what this tree is about. It also slightly increases Flak's survivability by making enemies less likely to attack them. It works in tandem with Megavore, the capstone of this tree. Megavore provides Flak with a 20% chance for non-critical hits to count as criticals, and therefore proc head count, along with Leave No Trace and various weapon effects. Onto the purple tree, and agility training is a great tier 1 skill to increase your reload speed. 5 points in this will increase it by 40%, which is a massive boost, and it's incredibly easy to spec into. If you want to make use of the Faulty Star pet interaction, then you'll want to pick up Take This to give your pet a copy of your shield. With your pet shielded by the Faulty Star, any enemies that attack them have a chance to have novas envelop around them. Those novas deal mayhem scaled amounts of damage and will often tear them apart. Honorable mentions for Flak include Two Fang for a chance at an extra projectile, perfect for maximizing the damage of 3-shot fadeaway with single projectile weapons. Leave No Trace is also a great skill, having a small chance to add 1 ammo back to your magazine whenever you land a critical. Hunter's Eye and Interplanetary Stalker are good on their own, but are great when you have the Bounty Hunter class mod equipped, allowing all of their effects to proc regardless of enemy type. Moze has great skills all across the board, with a number of them being way more powerful than they first appear. In her green tree, you'll want to pick up Redistribution every single time, as it grants ammo regeneration whenever you land a critical hit, and you also get some health regen as well. It's one skill that massively extends the life of each magazine, and it also drops on a number of her class mods, and if your class mod of choice can drop with it, you'll want that extra point. The next tier down, you'll want to pick up Scorching RPNs. This is a great skill that does a number of different things. It increases her fire rate, crit damage, and skill damage. However, that skill damage is doubled for Iron Cub and Iron Bear, although only the left arm receives the fire rate increase. With high percentage increases and 5 total points, and the ability to drop on class mods, this skill is fantastic, especially for mech focused builds. Speaking of mech focused builds, Specialist Bear is a must have, increasing the damage of Iron Bear and Iron Cub's weapons as long as they are of the same type. Augments can be mixed and matched just fine. Onto the blue tree, and Fire in the Skag Den is a skill that you simply must have. This skill adds incendiary damage to all of your splash damage, and it receives an absurd amount of mayhem scaling. It's about 31 times if I recall correctly at Mayhem 11, netting you 465% increased incendiary damage. Safe to say that's a lot, and this skill drops on a couple of key class mods where it's always worth the points. If you're going Bear or Cub, then you'll want to pick up Stainless Steel Bear, which adds a nice amount of action skill damage, maximum fuel, and health to your mech. The action skill damage is again applied twice, which makes it double as good as it first appears. Means of Destruction is another one if you're building for Moze. Like Redistribution, it adds to your ammo regeneration capabilities by allowing any of your area damage to return a grenade or ammo to your magazine. That grenade chance is great because if you think about it, will filter into your ammo anyway. Made even more likely with another great skill, Pull the Holy Pin. This allows your grenades to hit criticals, which in turn will proc Redistribution, adding to Moze's ammo regeneration capabilities. It's these 3 skills in tandem that give Moze enough ammo regen, where in most cases you don't need to worry about ammo. In saying that, Pull the Holy Pin has another great effect, where that grenade crit chance affects the Minesweeper micro grenades that can trigger a chain of explosions that grow stronger and stronger. Whenever you're lucky enough to get that to proc, that health bar won't stand a chance. Vampire is another skill that you'll typically want to pick up, causing any of your grenade damage to restore a portion of your health. With Means of Destruction returning grenades to our stock, Vampire will provide a constant recharge to our health bar. It works for the mechs too, and is especially useful for topping up our monster shields and bloodletter builds. Short Fuse is another one of Moze's skills that has mayhem scaling applied to it. This one gets 5.5 times mayhem scaling at Mayhem 10 or 11, netting you 275% increased damage rather than the 50% listed in the skill's description. That makes it incredibly strong and is her best capstone. It also follows a particular sequence which you can utilize to maximize your one-shot potential, and its ability to add extra splash damage on top of all of your gun damage is icing on the cake. Onto the orange tree, and Thin Red Line is a skill that I put maximum points in a lot of the time if I'm building for Moze. The reason being is this guarantees our ability to proc new red anointments without sacrificing a shield or artifact slot. URAD is also one of the best anointments in the game as it applies to all types of your damage all the time, making this skill perfect for achieving that. If you're going down the Bloodletter path or even building for Iron Bear or Cub, then Phalanx Doctrine is a great skill. It increases your gun damage, max shield and bear left arm damage for each of its stacks, and it stacks up to 99 times, and those stacks last for 30 seconds. It is best used for achieving maximum shield capacity, but those other bonuses are great too. If you're planning to kill a lot of things in a short window, then Phalanx Doctrine is always worth the points. Onto the Purple Tree, and Big Surplus is a skill you simply must have. It adds bonus incendiary damage to all of the damage you deal, but only if your action skill is on cooldown. It receives the same absurd amount of mayhem scaling as Fire in the Skag Den, netting you extra incendiary damage that is 465% stronger than the base damage it was summoned through. It's a skill that you simply shouldn't pass up. For honourable mentions, Some for the Road is a great skill, especially when used with the red line, allowing you to stack up an insane amount of stickies in that infinite ammo window, netting a massive wave of damage when you trigger the oncoming explosions. When building for Cub or Bear uptime, Never Going to Give You Up is great, reducing fuel drain whenever you apply an incendiary status effect to an enemy. Incendiary damage is easy to come by with Moze, so you'll be proccing this often, and 1 point is often all you'll need. Superior Firepower is worth the 1 point if you're going far enough in the Purple Tree to get it. That's because of its hidden cryo damage bonus, increasing you and your max cryo damage by 20% per stack. At max stacks, it will net you 100% increased cryo damage, and it's easy to cap it, perfectly supplementing her many fire focused skills.